This
When
conference will now be recorded.
I haven't really heard from her, so I don't know whether she's coming or not. So let's see. Why don't we just, I just wanted to update people on what's going on with the Pathways program. I know Christine did have another meeting of people, and I think you, Stephanie, and Bill were there, right? And I think Jennifer also went to that, the new coordinator.
Coordinator of,
Of the Pathways program, so that what they like is to have each town have a volunteer. So she volunteered.
that's right. That's right.
She was here last meeting and talked about her background and what she's doing, and she's hoping to involve a lot of the garden club in doing that. And I also saw an old article in Neighbors that was written by Margaret Chahey, who was talking about all the regional stuff that's going on. And so I just sent her an email and said that Jennifer was our coordinator if something came up that she wanted everybody to know. Because I know Wyndham and Mansfield have done a lot on the Pathways program. And we just had another person register. So that's good. And hopefully, I think it's going to be more like towards the spring, we might try and do a couple of educational programs and get people involved with that. Jennifer had said that she and Marion talked about doing a couple of things. And I know Marion did the garden at the town hall, but there's a question about whether it would be actually a pollinator garden, because we're not sure whether the town uses pesticides on the grass in front of the town.
Right.
So we have to check that out, but I'm not too hopeful. But anyway, we'll see how that goes. And Wyndham has a lot. I was at the Mill Museum this past Sunday, and they have a little pollinator garden with a big sign next to it, right in between the Mill Museum and the hall there that they use. So, and there's a couple other places I've noticed. So they're doing really good, and I think we'll get the steam going, particularly this spring. So that seems to be, that's working itself out, and we should be in good shape with that. Then I thought we could just talk a little bit about the details of our fall cleanup.
And Loretta,
yeah.
I just wanted to point out that there's some kind of a Zoom presentation tomorrow morning on.
It's not. Did you get the email, Janet?
No, what?
Yeah, the Thames River project, whatever it is, by Jean Pillow. She canceled that. I don't know. Did you register for it?
I did. Yeah.
I don't know why you didn't get an email, but I got an email today saying it was canceled.
Oh, I might have missed it if it just came in today.
Yeah, it just came in this morning. So unfortunately, yeah, they were going to concentrate on one of the organizers talking about it, and particularly in regards to sustainability, which we were sort of interested in what we needed to do. But unfortunately, that's not going to happen. So.
Oh, okay.
I'm glad you said that, Janet, because otherwise you would have been sitting. Nothing would have happened.
I had it highlighted in my calendar so I wouldn't forget.
Yeah, okay. I know. So we can move along to Pam and talking about her thoughts on the fall cleanup and what you're thinking about. I know you sent me an email about having a couple of times in the mornings where people could come and pick up some supplies if they so choose.
Right. I mean, it's the way we've done it every single time, where like 8:45 to 9, we hand out the supplies, get them organized, and send them on their way. I haven't gotten any messages from people saying they're going to participate, but I think it's still early yet. You know, we've got time. But, I told them that I'll be continuing to post and update them and remind them that, we've got these 2 weekends coming up and we really need help, either on their own or, through meeting with us and organizing with us. So, uh, and I picked up more pickup sticks, as I said, and I'm going to go try and get some more ones that aren't going to fall apart on us. So that's pretty much it. I mean, not much to do really until we're leading up to it.
Right. The other thing is you can send the email, the same kind of email that you, or whatever your posting was on Community Connect or Facebook or Community Connection. I think
Right.
it's Ashford Community Connections, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Send that to Cheryl at the town hall, and she
Oh, okay.
will be able to put that on the website, the town
Okay.
hall website.
Okay.
So that's just another place where people can look and see
Okay.
events coming. I think there's a whole thing that events coming up or something, and she'll put it there in a block so people calls attention to it for people.
Okay, I will.
Okay, thanks for doing all that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Steve, I was excited to see your pictures, and I sent an email to Rob Beach thanking him for working with us on the whole fence building kind of thing, but maybe you can share a little bit more about what that process was like, because it
Oh,
looked
sure.
wonderful.
Yeah, it it turned out really nice. I don't know, did anybody go take a
Yeah,
look?
I saw
It
it.
looks really nice. It's really
Yeah,
nice. Yeah.
yeah, it's cleared out nice. They came out, um, I forget the gentleman's name, but I think he might be the stewardship leader. He's part of the stewardship leadership anyway.
Mhm.
He came out with a machine that did a really nice job. Um, I wasn't expecting that he would that we would maintain the clearing around the back of the tree, but it looks pretty good that way too.
Hi,
So
Gwen.
hi Gwen.
Hi.
And um, so on Sunday the 3rd, a crew came out and there were, my gosh, there were about 10 people there. I was impressed with the workforce, and everybody was, willing to work hard. We had to dig new holes for the fence posts, and there were some significant boulders taken out, and probably see some of
Wow.
them if you went by. Um, and fortunately, we didn't hit anything that we couldn't dig out. And I guess you could say we got lucky. We avoided one big rock and sort of worked our way left and right from the middle, and we actually ended up being able to reuse two of the fence posts, or the holes for the fence posts, at one end. So it was all done within 2 hours.
Wow.
Wow.
And but there was a lot of help and people that knew what to do. They, although I don't think any of us were experts at putting in that kind of fencing. So but it was pretty much post hole diggers, shovels, you know um the you have to fit it to the lengths. They're 10-foot lengths, horizontal lengths, and then the posts are all the same size. We didn't have to cut any down, or so that they'd fit. And I don't know if you noticed, but it sort of bows out too. But I actually like that. And it's pretty well cleaned up right now. It'll probably stay that way until spring, when all the vegetation starts coming back, and then hopefully I can stay on top of it with a grass whip. But If not, then I'll call for reinforcements and see if we can get that machine back out there. So we'll see.
Is that a machine that Joshua's Truss has, or was that just his? I think it was. Is that was that Tony or?
It could be, I don't think it's Tony, but whoever it was, he had this thing just barely fit in his van. It was amazing. And I got the impression it might be his own personal machine,
Mm-hmm.
but maybe he's got a lot of land and
Mm-hmm.
does that sort of thing. But yeah, it was more like a small brush hog. It was a walk behind kind of thing that essentially did brush hogging. So that was nice. That was done the day before. No, a few days before. I met them there a few days before we did the actual fence installation because there was poison ivy and that sort of thing that needed to be cleared out. And we cut more of the tree limb that was there too. So
Is it like a brush hog or is it more like a weed eater, just with a heavier cutter?
it's not like a weed whacker. This thing, he was running over boulders even with the thing. I never would have done that with it. I'm sure it's an expensive machine, probably a couple $1,000. But it could take down small trees. So I think it had a blade. I didn't want to be anywhere near him though, when he was running it. So yeah, unfortunately, and we tried to. It's really kind of funny. Maybe I shouldn't say it, but Andy Woodcock and I were talking, and this other guy was, running the machine and doing some other stuff, and he's a real like bulldog and he likes things to be clean. And we had spotted a red oak that was near the original tree, and we said, oh yeah, we should save that and this and that. And I'm not kidding. Within 1 minute, he had come and cut it down while we were both looking away. And it's like, oh, too bad, But there are other trees there that are no doubt offspring of the original Ashford oak. So there is still talk of doing a kiosk there with a picture. I haven't talked to Rob since we did the work. I guess we need to get going on that. I think it's just going to be some text under plexiglass with some kind of representation of a tree. And they were talking about maybe Andy Woodcock apparently is an artist. Does anybody know him? He says he's a cartoonist, and he said he wouldn't do it because he'd make it look silly. But anyway, they knew some other artists that might be able to come up with something, or I think they had spotted something that you mentioned, Loretta, is seen in the town hall somewhere. I'm not quite sure where that is. Town clerk's office, maybe?
Well, I had mentioned that there's an etching in the town clerk's office, but I think you went to see it. It's the tree in its diminished state. It's not a full good picture of it.
Oh yeah, maybe I did see that. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know what they're going to work from. That all the photos that I found, like I mentioned before, they're really pretty awful and low contrast. They don't really profile the tree very well, but an artist could work around that, I'm sure. Just you have to find the right person. So that's about it.
Well, it's great. When I went there, it looked so wonderful, and because all the brush was cleared out, what is left of the tree really stood out very well, and
Yeah.
you could get a sense of how majestic this tree once was by that, and just the way the placement of the fence kind of just bordered it so well that you were stunned by it, because I had seen the tree before, but I hadn't really seen it.
Yeah.
So it was amazing what y'all did, and I think it's a credit to Joshua's Trust that they can pull out the people who will do that, who are willing to spend a couple hours to do that. They have a lot of volunteers, and a lot of people are very active. So that was great, and it's a good thing that it was working together, our committee plus Joshua's Trust, and those are the kinds of things I think we need to do, do more of and be aware of it when we do it, because what a lot of people have said to me is that in conservation, a lot of conservation commissions don't work with other towns, which doesn't make any sense to me at all, because all of the natural resources aren't just stopping at a town line and saying, okay, we're not going to do anything more, and rivers don't stop at town lines. So it just makes sense to me that there should be more regional kind of planning stuff. So I think it's good that you were able to hook up with Rob, Steve, and get going on that and work it all through. And, we were able to donate, we were able to give money to them, and we shared the cost, and it looks beautiful. And I think everybody benefits from that,
Yeah.
because there are a lot of people who have a kind of like an attachment to that tree, that, it's one of the things that Ashford was known for. And it's sort of interesting to me that such an important historical thing, and there's not a lot of pictures that show it in its prime. And maybe that's because the prime was maybe in the 1920s. I don't know.
Right.
I mean, it's not like everybody had a cell phone then and ran around taking pictures like people do now. And also cameras weren't the way they are now. But it's just interesting to me that what we have in the town office building is a fragmented picture of it and not the whole thing, which.
Right. When you go there, if you go there again, or if you go there for the first time, what you can see is the spread, or the former spread of the tree. You can see how there are no trees growing underneath that spread, because it shaded everything out, I'm sure. So no significant trees, nothing with any height. So that's impressive. It's subtle. You kind of have to look for it, but there's a big open space off to the right where nothing's growing, and you can see, how it sort of dominated that site. So.
Yeah.
What kind of rendering do you want, the picture to be of the tree? What is your preference?
There are some pictures from newspaper articles that show more of the tree. It was more whole than it is now. So I think, that's probably the best we could do, unless some artist has a creative imagination, and could, but I don't know how you do that. You'd want to be somewhat accurate. But I don't know, pen and ink, could be pen and ink, or
Well,
could be.
couldn't it be put to maybe the art department at E.O. Smith, that maybe, they've got some pretty good artists over there, and do they have photographic equipment where they could clean up the picture a little bit, make it a little crisper and clearer looking? Or maybe one of the kids could do a pen and ink and, you know, put it to them. It'd be kind of cool if somebody local did it
I
and
agree.
did the picture.
That's a good thought. But maybe I can get some of those photographs. I probably have them, and my son goes to EO now, so
Oh, well,
see if, well, you know, it's like a fort. You just don't walk in there. But we could, you know, make an arrangement, approach somebody. Yeah, I don't think, you know, I'm pretty good at photography, and I don't think there's any way that any of these pictures could be cleaned up. I think an artistic rendering is really the best option.
What about the Ashford Arts Council? There's some local
right.
artists here, Deb Gagg, Charles McCautry, probably lots of others.
Yeah, the JT guys had, they thought they knew some people, so we'll see. Andy and Rob have some ideas, and I'll talk to them and see what they come up with.
Yeah, and they may, Joshua's Trust, I know they're very involved with UConn students. They may also have programs with E.O. Smith also, because I know that one of the persons that used to do their mapping was a UConn student. I don't know now, but that was last year and they may have graduated or something. But they do have a lot of connection to the Mansfield community. So it might be something that when you're talking to them or when they come up with something, they may come up with something like that. But that is a good idea to have someone, you know, take it on as a project and see what they can do.
Yeah, I'll
And
send
there
them.
also could be a contest. We had a contest years ago for a coin, and somebody did a rendering of that tree on the coin for the
Oh.
town of Ashford. I don't know if you remember this. It was not the 300th anniversary, maybe the 275th. And they had the students at E.O. Smith all submitting entries for something to depict Ashford, and that was one of the winners.
It's before my time in Ashford.
Oh, okay, we've been in this house over 30 years. So I think I have it on, I think I have the coin. Hold on a second.
I was just curious if we looked for archival photographs of the tree anywhere.
Well, I was wondering if the Historical Society would have any.
Okay.
Library.
I think
They've got some, I think, historic books. Carol Ann talks about it all the time. There might be a picture in there. I
This
can
is the
find
town of
out.
Ashford. And wait, the coin has
Oh,
the
there
tree.
it is.
Yeah, I'm trying to hold it in front of the right spot on this camera. Yeah,
Oh,
these were
got it.
three separate
Mhm.
entries. I think Ashford Academy is on here. These three personify the town and are depicted on this coin for one of the anniversaries, town of Ashford, Connecticut. And it was Michael Cameron who became the weatherman who submitted that entry, the winning entry. He was my
That's
next door
cool.
neighbor. I was a little boy when he did this. He was a little boy and he did that drawing and winning.
I don't think we'd use that as a model.
No, but you could have a contest.
Yeah,
All the artists could submit and have judges choose. It's just a thought.
right. And I think we have explored, I'm pretty sure we've explored the Historical Society. That I think they came up with old photographs that were essentially the newspaper photographs. So
Wow.
What I was thinking of was UConn has archivists and they keep track of a lot of things that you wouldn't imagine. And archival librarians can find you almost anything if it exists. So I just wondered if we want to
haven't
look that
explored
far or
that.
not.
Good idea.
Do you want to try that and see?
I know one of the archivists at
We know
UConn, so I
someone
could
over there,
ask
so,
her.
yeah.
Great.
Yeah, great. That would be great. Yeah, it may be because I know, well, I think, as I recall, the pictures I saw, because there was a whole folder that Barbara had in the town hall of the Ashford Oak. But all of those pictures, as I recall, they were taken when it wasn't at its peak anymore. You know, and I don't know
Right.
if there was a lot of talk prior to that, you know, but these pictures seem to, you could tell it wasn't like the prime tree it was, but people, librarians might know this, or, you know, there might be a special part of that. So yeah, that would be great to check on that. It might be very interesting to see what is available.
Sure.
One never knows until one checks it out.
Right? Maybe the Dodd Research Center, librarians there.
Yeah, so if you want to, Stephanie, that would be great to check on that and just,
I'll ask her to see if there is such an archive.
yeah.
It's a good idea.
And if you haven't seen it, go over there and see it, because it's really worth driving over there and looking at it, particularly since it's all been freshly cut and it looks very, very sweet sitting up there. So let's see what else. Oh, we had the open space budget, because I think, Gwen, you had asked about this a couple of months ago, and then last month.
I was actually wanted to ask about it a year ago, and then everything was shut down for COVID. I've been wanting to bring up this topic for a very long time. Sorry.
Yeah, so we do have an open space fund, and there's about $2,000 in it.
Great.
Exactly is 2,041.67 is in there. So,
So we didn't use it all on buying the orchard then? I mean, buying the developmental rights to the.
say that again, Gwen, I didn't catch it.
We didn't use the full balance to purchase the developmental rights for the Crook Orchard on Bevington Road.
We used part of it to do that for Crooks, and then we also used part of it for the Knowlton farm.
Okay.
There's two of those that were used for the part that our town had to pay for purchasing those huge open space lands.
Is
And
there,
there's no amount that goes in each year? It's nothing like that. There isn't like a small percentage of our taxes that would go into that fund ever?
No, we had talked about that, and I believe that was one of our recommendations that we put into the plan of conservation and development. And it was also part of, it was in the open space write-up, that summary that we had submitted.
Right. I think it was 1/4% was recommended
Yeah.
of the annual budget be set aside.
Right.
well, that's something we should follow up on for the next budget year, see if we can get it included.
That would be terrific. I also was thinking that everything was put on hold with COVID, but at the beginning, I was thinking about the Forest Legacy Program, and when that ever went through, if the federal government came up with that kind of money, people who are involved in this program and have a huge amount of land were going to have tax ramifications. And I was thinking, to offset it, that we might want to encourage them to make a donation for this purpose. If but we don't know. This is all on hold right now, right, with the Forest Legacy. But this is what
it's not on hold. It takes a long time, and right now they are starting to focus on our particular funding source, and it takes a long while, because they've got to go through, they've got to evaluate each of the parcels and then negotiate with the owner about how much they're going to get, what the value is. And of course, what often happens is that when the U.S. Forestry comes up with an amount, most of the people are a little surprised by the amount that they're going to be given. So it's a really long negotiation process. And I think the person who does it a lot is just Dan Procaccio, who's the deep representative. So it does take a lot of time for him. And what he does is he was finishing up a project in Stafford Springs, I believe. And that was finished, I believe, this summer. And so he was going to start with the Ashford. So it's not that it's on hold, it takes a while. And this is something that he said to all of the people who put their land in from the get-go, and said, this is going to take years. It's not a fast process.
I do remember that, I remember the 5-year estimate. And that's why I was thinking, if this is something that we wanted to encourage, we might start earlier rather than later, because we're already like maybe 4 years into this.
I personally would not feel comfortable saying anything to these landowners about doing something, because most of the people really, it was a stretch to do this, and they're doing it because the only other option would be to sell their land. So they're getting something because it's not like these people are wealthy people who have all of this land to spare and all that. So these are mostly people who are older, who don't have an ongoing heavy source of income. And they probably would get a lot more money if they sold parcels of their land. But they really love the land and they want to keep it intact. So I don't know that we as a committee that really, as a commission that spent so much time trying to convince them, and Jack spent a lot of time and effort long before we began actually to do the project, to try and talk to all the landowners about the benefits and what they could do. So for one, having met a lot of these people and talked with them, I don't think that's a way to go for open space. I think they've done their contribution. I think more than adequately done their contribution by signing on to this program. And particularly with the history that Ashford has, a lot of the people who live in Ashford don't even trust the town government. But what we were asking them to do is to trust the state government and the federal government. And in my mind, that was a huge stretch. So
well, I was just talking about a small amount to offset taxes, very minuscule amount relative to that you'd have to pay in taxes anyway. And if these kind of people would believe that open space is important. So I was thinking an open space fund, and they've already done it with their land, so they would be like-minded. Just a thought, but.
Does anyone else have any thoughts about that?
Well, I agree with Loretta, but I think if we did want to solicit money for an open space fund, we should just solicit it from everybody, not just the Forest Legacy people.
Definitely agree with that. Yeah.
Right. And I believe that was the whole idea around including it in the annual budget. So that it would be something that everybody would contribute to. And maybe part of what we're talking about is to do more promoting of the values of open space. And maybe we can think about that for the future, of educating people about the value of preserving land and what happens if it doesn't get preserved and cut up, and subdivisions, et cetera, and what happens to our town as a whole. So that might be something that we can sort of put in the back of our heads and think about at some future point, in terms of how to do that, and really how to put it to the Board of Finance to accept that that would be a good recommendation for them to follow. And maybe part of that would be to check with other towns and see what other towns do. In terms of, do they have an ongoing open space budget that sets aside a certain percentage of their total budget for directly for open space funds? So that's something that, as I said, it's certainly something that we can be thinking about, and come early spring, maybe try and, you know, do something to make a stronger statement on that.
Thank you so
Glenn,
much.
you can keep us aware of that, because
Okay.
sometimes other things get lost in the shuffle.
Yeah.
So
I just don't realize how lucky we are that we do have open space in this area. Until you talk to people who've come from Europe, have grown up there, and say this isn't anything like this. It's house upon house, and it's all developed, and it's been developed for thousands of years, and they just don't have what we have.
right.
Put some perspective.
Okay. Well, I appreciate your input on that, and you can keep nudging me as we move through the year. I also wanted to let people know that the farmers market's going to extend its season just as it did last year, so that they will go the first 3 weeks in November. They usually stop in October, but they're going to go 3 more weeks. And one large part of that is that the weather has been pretty agreeable of late. And so, I mean, we haven't had frost yet. It's pretty rare for this time of year in the quiet corner of Connecticut, but it may be coming soon. But anyway, regardless, that the farmers market will be there until November 21st. So we can keep that in mind. And then I wanted to talk a little bit about, probably next month, I'll get a notice from Town Hall saying what is our meeting schedule for 2022. And I just wanted to talk about that in terms of, it's been really hard because there's been a couple of times with COVID that we've had to change our day around. And I know that's hard for people to do that with busy schedules, but to look at is, for the most part, is this third Monday of the month working, or is there another time that works better, or is this 7 o'clock time the best time for people? I just wanted to get, rather than just arbitrarily come up with something, I just wanted to get people's sense of what works best for them.
Well, I could do Mondays or Friday nights. I work on Tuesday and Thursday nights really late, so I couldn't make it if it was that day. And then Wednesdays, I mean, some Wednesdays I have, one meeting or another meeting after work. So it's, and AIUW, Eastern Connecticut Conservation District meetings Wednesday nights. So it'd be like really hard on the other nights for me.
Mhm.
And I just got home from work now, so that's why I'm a little late. I mean, so 7:30 worked better for me when we used to meet 7:30, but I do the best I can. I'm adaptable. But Monday's great.
Okay.
Yeah, Monday works for me. The third or the fourth Monday are fine. 7 or 7:30 is okay.
Works for me. I've got nothing going on.
This time works great for me. I
Okay.
can't promise that, every Monday I'll make it, but it's so far worked out pretty good.
Okay. Okay. Is 7 better than 7:30? What are people's sense about that? Does 7 seem to be working for people?
It works. Poor Gwen. She's the only one who has a
Yeah.
rough schedule.
Okay, so I guess we'll just keep it at the third Monday at 7, and that should work out. We can it's okay to change, because we can change it. The problem when you change a meeting and make it a special meeting is that you can only talk about what you put on the agenda. You can't add anything. And so if someone has something that, oh, I want to talk about this, you really technically can't do that. And you just have to put special meetings, special minutes, and just those little niggly little things that I always tend to forget. Like when the year changes, I forget, like, wait a minute, this is not 21 anymore, it's 22. So keep starting putting that in my brain because it'll happen pretty soon. So what else, anything else going on with people that they want to talk about or mention or think about or look at?
Out to, we went out on Sunday to map where the trail crosses, the Tremco Trail crosses that Truss.
Can't hear you.
Recorder.
You're cutting
What's
out.
that? Oh, okay. We went out on Sunday to map the Joshua Truss Trail where it crosses over the Tremco Trail, because I'm putting together a map of that whole area. But I forgot to turn on the recorder for it, so I have to go walk the trail again.
Oh,
It was a nice day, so the walk was worth
Yeah, the
it
walk-
anyway.
Not
And
nice
that's a
enough
nice
to
trail,
do it
actually.
twice.
The Joshua Trust is a nice trail up through there. I hadn't done it before.
Yeah. Good. So then you'll create that and we'll be able to have a little map there and a little sign so that, right?
Yeah, I have the frame is all, I just have to put shingles on the roof of it yet, and then, yeah, I have to put the glass in it, that's all. So put the
Right.
post
oh
up.
wow.
Nice.
Is it installed, Bill?
No, I have to put the post up yet too.
Okay, all right, yeah. Yeah, well, just call me if you want help, because I've got a post hole digger and whatever. And
I have one. I just have to go over and dig the hole. Pull out
Avoid the
rocks.
rock.
I feel there's gonna be a lot of rocks right there because there's a wall. Right there.
I
Well,
remember
a lot bigger than it is.
Langhammer, you were having a lot of rocks right up where you're trying to put the post in.
Yeah. That's
I just visited that a couple days ago and it's looking really good. The kiosk is still, it hasn't fallen over. So you did a good job.
Oh, great. Gwen, did you walk the trail?
I didn't have time. I had just done like 3 other hikes that day and it was right before darkness. I
That's
just
all.
kind of checked on the waterfall to see and it was running. I just wanted to see, because like it's only normally in April you see the seasonal waterfall going, but I just wanted to check it out and it was flowing with all this rain. So
Oh,
I didn't have time.
Tremco
But
is-
I'm gonna go back and do the whole trail. I had just done a mountain that day and I didn't have time to do it. The whole thing.
well, there's no pressure. I just, like to keep track of if there's any trees all over the trail or not. Because sometimes,
Tremco a couple of weeks ago.
and
And it
since
wasn't
there's been so many. Well, I didn't hear you, Bill.
Clear, you said?
we had done Tremco a couple of weeks ago, and it was in pretty good shape. It looked like somebody's been walking it. But,
Good.
That's great. That's good to hear.
There were other people out on Sunday using the trail, not just us.
Oh, nice. Mm.
Oh, good. Yeah, well, I think the Walktober brochure sort of entices people to go out, and this nice weather that we've been having, people are, yeah, let's get out for a walk. And there's a lot more families that are, when I'm out walking, I see a lot more families walking. And this season, usually once it gets to October, there's a lot of cyclists around, and they had a big marathon from on the airline trail from 203 up to Putnam this past Saturday. So I think that was a really fabulous day. So it was Saturday. So I think that they probably had a good turnout for that, but they had stations along the way, so you could do it relay or you could run the whole thing, which is a good run. Particularly that hot day. I don't think people were thinking it was going to be so hot in middle of October, but nonetheless, anyway. It was really good because there's a part of the airline trail from Brooklyn Road and Hampton to where the Pomfret Town Hall is in 44, that was flooded because there's some beavers that have done this work on the
Yeah.
old marsh because there's so much water now than there ever used to be. And so I think they were going, I haven't been there since I was there on Friday. I think they cleaned that up so that I think it'll be dry. It should probably be dry now, but it was the first time I've ever seen it with water over the trail. So it's
I've
good.
ridden my bike there a lot, not a lot, but more than a few times. And that's a really pretty section. What you just described,
Yeah.
pretty much go in. But did you say that was a run from 203 up to Putnam?
Yeah.
Wow, that's a good run.
That is a good run, right? And they had just finished the bridge over 169 in, what is that, Pomfret, I think.
Mhm.
So they 2 days before the race, they had finished it. So that's really well done. And they were working on another, I think that bridge was finished, the one on right near Audubon on, I think it's Day Road there. So they totally rebuilt that. It's really beautiful. So those things they really look nice. But anyway, so it's
Out
good
of
that,
curiosity, what is the trail like up there? Is it gravel or is it paved or what does it look like?
it's
Yeah,
not paved, it's mostly gravel.
yeah, it's gravel. There are a few places where it's. Are you thinking of riding a bike or walking?
Ride the
Or-
bike, but can it take a road bike up there or you need a mountain bike?
Road bike is going to be a little more challenging. You need something with a little wider tires, I think. At least it's not that you can't do it. It's just there's some loose gravel here and there. Otherwise, it's
I've done it with a hybrid, which is more like a road bike. And it was fine, it's if you just go around the puddles.
yeah. There's a few sections where it's kind of loose, but yeah, you'll do better with slightly wider tires.
There were 2 people there when I was there on Friday that were on electric bikes.
Sure.
Oh,
I'd like to have one of those. The one I want though is nearly $5,000. So I won't be getting. I can't justify it. You know.
You have to save for that or ask Santa to be good to you.
Yeah.
Really.
You can buy them used. I have a friend who upgraded to that bike, and so she's selling the $3,000 one to get the $5,000 one.
Yeah. Yeah. The one I want has a belt. It's belt driven. And you know, so there's no chain there to mess with, no deraillers. It's kind of internal drive. It's high end, but yeah, I can't justify it. I could buy it, but I can't really justify it, you know. I'd like to ride it up to stores, but I don't go up there enough, you know, by myself to do that. So, oh well. Maybe I need a job, you know, so I could justify it.
then you won't have time to ride the bike.
That's true.
I was at a talk at the Mill Museum Sunday night by Dagmar Noel, who biked over around Iceland this summer. And she was pretty much cold the whole time. She was there 33 days biking by herself. And she had just a fabulous slideshow that she put on. And she's also studying linguistics. So she was trying to teach us to say these Icelandic names, which are really tongue twisters to say them. But it was really amazing how much she learned being with the people. And she got in, it was June or July that she did it. And everyone was just like really opening up. And right after she left, they COVID cases spiked. So everything got shut down again. But she was in the one time where, you know, she was able to really meet a lot of people. And the only thing that saved her is they have periodically, they have these hot pools that she was able to put her feet in or sit in entirely and warm herself up because it didn't really get that hot in the summer.
Oh.
So, but it was very interesting and really admire her cycling alone
Mm.
in a really harsh environment. I'm not sure she thought it was going to be as harsh as it turned out to be, but she was outskirts. She wasn't around the major cities or anything. So anyway.
Sure.
I think I saw the pictures on Facebook. Did she post on Facebook?
She might have. She might
Yeah,
have.
I saw.
Yeah. She had to take.
Oh, she had, if you,
Go ahead.
she journaled on Facebook with lots of pictures, and she's a fabulous writer. You really felt like you were there, as well as she would post like 30 photographs from the day, so you could see everything.
Yeah.
That was quite an adventure.
Yeah.
But she said on some of the trips, she'd get directions to go someplace, and they'd say, well, don't break down, because if you get stuck there, you'll die. So she was very courageous.
Yeah. Well, she was pretty cold a couple of nights. So yeah, she had to really be innovative to keep herself together and not get hypothermia and stuff. So, but anyway, it was pretty amazing and what you can do with bikes. And for 90 miles of the trip, she had injured her knee. So she was pedaling with one leg.
Oh.
Wow.
Anyway, she lived to tell it and to share it with us. So it made for great story. So I guess that's it. We can leave, end for tonight, and happy Halloween, everybody, and have a good rest of the month. Enjoy
Yes.
beautiful fall weather that we're having. Get outside, and we'll see you next month. Okay. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Loretta.
All
Good night,
right.
everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank